Here's a radio that's a little bit different. It's the AC Delco wall radio, model PR-200M. I believe this thing is from the 1980s, probably the mid-1980s, though I'm not 100% sure. You can see that the works of the radio are all on display, but I'll get into the circuit later. First, let's hear the thing play. Here's the FM antenna, and there's the power switch.
I'm Bill St. James, looking at what happened this week in a segment I like to call What Happened This Week. This week.
It's Top 10 time. Number 10. After work.
She tells the Salem.
I feel like I'm part of the From the Top family already.
This radio also receives AM. Let's give that a try.
If you don't have a copy, you can always read it online. Tell your friends all about it. Happy news from the Valley of Opportunity.
AM reception isn't as good as FM reception on this thing.
Skin and giant linebacker LeVar Arrington. Here's Mike Harmon. Greetings, welcome in the halftime show. Yes, it's the All Big Ten. Our buddy Chris has tagged.
That's about it for AM on this thing.
In, thanks to our team making it sound so pretty here on an Easter Sunday. Vince Close, our executive producer, Isaac Lowenkron on the updates, Chris Perfett, who just exited the building after a long...
So as you heard, the radio is quite listenable on FM. This thing is a bit of a novelty, but it's definitely a usable one. It's hard to find this radio with a completely perfect speaker. This one is about as good as it gets. You can see there's a small damaged area there that I glued carefully. Usually this dome here is caved in because it's very thin plastic, and there's generally all sorts of tears around the speaker cone. This plastic piece here was probably originally completely clear. It has since yellowed with age and exposure to light. The tuning string path is pretty long, and there's a decent amount of resistance as a result of that. Electrically, the radio is almost completely all original. I did change out one capacitor in there. I think I just removed it, tested it, it seemed okay, and I put a new one back in its place because I don't generally put old capacitors back. If I'm going to go to the trouble of removing it, I generally replace it if I have the parts. There are quite a few caps in here, and I guess I just decided not to replace them since they were in good shape. Oh, it looks like I replaced one other one up there as well. I probably just went for ones that were easy to access. I've had this radio for maybe 5 years. I'm kind of surprised I never did a video on it in that time, but I'm doing one now. The RF and IF portions of the radio are all transistor based, just like a radio out of the 50s and 60s. But the amplifier is based on a op-amp chip there, the LA4100, and that bar graph display is driven by that little unusual integrated circuit above it. I don't see a part number on it. As far as power goes, they did design this radio pretty nicely, although it could perhaps use provisions for an AC adapter. You just take out these two thumb screws here, and then this cartridge here lifts out, and then there's your batteries. This one has a little bit of corrosion there, but not too bad. Those pure copper strips there are often pretty corroded from people, leaving batteries in there, and there's no plating on it, so there isn't really any resistance to corrosion. There isn't too much to see on the back. Those are just vents for the speaker, I guess to improve bass performance. There's little slots for hanging it on a wall, and you can see this one was definitely hung on a wall and removed and replaced several times. It's got a fair bit of scratching there. At the bottom here is the label and specs, and I guess the serial number there. Maybe someone can translate that. It's 28008583. It was made in Taiwan. I'm not going to take the back cover off because there just really isn't much to see. All there is the wires that go to the speaker, volume control, and antenna. Oh, and the power there. Well, thanks for watching.